In 1917, the government of Costa Rica was overthrown by Defence Minister Federico Tinoco, who set aside the constitution and ruled for 2 years before retiring, at which point the constitution was restored and a new government formed. The new government passed a law which nullified virtually every action that had been taken by the Tinoco government. The United Kingdom had never recognised the Tinoco regime. However, British companies had done business in Costa Rica, including the Royal Bank of Canada and the Central Costa Rica Petroleum Company, both of which were British corporations. When the new government nullified the actions of the Tinoco government, this cancelled substantial debts to the Royal Bank of Canada without repayment and cancelled a mining lease granted to the petroleum company. The government of Great Britain sought to preserve the rights of the British companies. The new government of Costa Rica, however, argued that because the United Kingdom had never recognised the Tinoco government, it could hardly now seek to enforce contracts made by that government. To resolve the dispute, the two nations appointed an arbitrator from the USA, Judge Taft, who was also Chief Justice of the United States and President at one stage. The judge noted, "Changes in the government or the internal policy of a state do not, as a rule, affect its position in international law. A monarchy may be transformed into a republic, or a republic into a monarchy. Absolute principles may be substituted for constitutional or the reverse. But though the government changes, the nation remains, with rights and obligations unimpaired." This principle was important, but not sufficient to dispose of the dispute. Was the Tinoco government merely a change of government, or a completely illegitimate usurper? If Great Britain had not regarded the Tinoco government as being the proper government of Costa Rica, how could it now make an argument relying on the validity of that government? Judge Taft said, "British non-recognition cannot outweigh the evidence disclosed by this record before me as to the de facto character of Tinoco's government, according to the standards set for international law." Nations might recognise or refuse to recognise other nations for a variety of reasons, and while these affect the relationships between governments, they may not ultimately affect the capacity of nations or their companies from contracting with those de facto governments and relying on those contracts.